I'm Marc Sievers, and this is From My Kitchen to Yours. Tonight I'm throwing a Parisian cocktail party, so I want to do two different hors d'oeuvres, one sweet and one savory, both wrapped in buttery puff pastry that will pair perfectly with a glass of champagne. So let's get our ingredients and let's get started. So I promised two hors d'oeuvres wrapped in buttery puff pastry. The idea of making puff pastry seems daunting to me, so we're going to use store-bought. I've defrosted one package in the fridge overnight, and this is going to be really easy to roll out. You have to have a little bit of a patience, and you have to be a little quick with it. So we're going to do, the first sheet's going to be our savory, and it's going to have Gruyère and Sopresseta and thyme and mustard. So start by lightly flouring your work surface. And then your rolling pin, of course, too. And then roll it out just a little bit bigger, probably by maybe 11 by 14. And keep the dough moving on the board. You don't want it to stick. And you want to work kind of quickly with puff pastry because you want it to retain as much coldness as possible. The puff pastry will really puff up once the butter hits the heat of the oven, and that's what makes it puffy. So we're going to roll it on our rolling pin and set it aside for a minute, and we're going to grab a sheet pan that's already been lined with parchment paper. And we're going to just unroll this right onto the parchment paper. And now comes the fun part, all the toppings. 1 tablespoon of whole grain Dijon mustard and 1 tablespoon of smooth Dijon mustard. And what we're going to do is you're going to spread it on only half of the puff pastry. So, and you want to leave about a 1/2-inch border. So spread it around nice and even. So there's our mustards. We're going to sprinkle it with about a tablespoon of fresh thyme. I didn't even chop the thyme, just leave it whole. Thyme is a really delicate, has a very delicate flavor. And you want to use it liberally because you want that delicate flavor to really shine through the mustard and the Gruyère and the Sopresseta. Yeah, there's a little bit more. Why not? So with the Sopresseta, spicy, and it's already really salty because it's a cured meat. So we don't need to add any pepper to this, any salt to this, and I have tried. So there is no need to re-experiment with this. So I'm going to do, I don't know, 8 slices right down the center. And then Gruyère, lots of it. Put 3/4 cup. Spread it out. Again, we're making sure to leave a 1/2-inch border around the sides. And now we have to seal it like a little package. So we're going to use the same brush that we used for the mustard, and we have a little bit of an egg wash, which is just 1 egg and maybe a tablespoon of water, and you want to beat it up and then just brush the sides of your puff pastry dough with a little bit of the egg wash. Try to keep the cheese and the Sopresseta out of the seam, if you will, because you want that to really seal well so that all the goodness and goodies don't leak out when you're baking it. You're going to fold it over and be patient. There's no need to rush when you're working with puff pastry, when you're baking. Press the sides down. Perfect. And now when we bake this, we want this to be nice and shiny. Puff pastry looks so beautiful when it has that glossy sheen to it. So we're going to brush it liberally with more of the egg wash. This is going to be so delicious with champagne, glass of red wine, My guests are really going to enjoy this tonight. So that's the savory. What we're going to do is I'm going to put this back into the refrigerator while I prep the other one to make sure that it stays nice and cold. I'm going to get my next ingredients, which are going to be fresh strawberry jam and Roquefort cheese, which is so delicious, and it's really a great combination. So I'm rolling out my second piece of puff pastry just as I did the first, about 11 by 14. Keep it moving on your board. When you're rolling out puff pastry, you don't want to stretch it or pull it. If it tears or has a little rip, just gently press it back together. All right, so this one is going to lay right again onto our parchment lined baking sheet. A half a cup of strawberry preserves. You can make your own or use a really good store-bought variety. Spread it out over just half so that you can fold it over. And this is going to taste especially good with champagne because of the Roquefort and the sweetness of the strawberry preserves. Roquefort is a French cheese, and it's very pungent. It kind of, it doesn't smell very good, but it tastes fantastic. Just take my word for it. And if you can't find Roquefort, you can use Stilton, you can use regular blue cheese. If you don't like any blue cheese, you can also just use Gruyère. Gruyère and strawberry preserves taste delicious. So you're going to sprinkle some Stilton, just enough to cover your strawberry preserves, and this is going to be really delicious. You can also add some basil to this. Some chiffonade of basil would be delicious in this too. All kinds of options when you're working with strawberry jam and other more savory cheeses. That looks perfect. Egg wash are all around the sides. We want to seal our little package so nothing leaks out when we're baking. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's why I like this recipe. You can fill it with anything you have left in your fridge. If you don't have, you can fill it with apricot preserves, and you can even do apricot and cheddar would be delicious. You could do apple butter, all kinds of variations. Be creative. Just experiment a little bit. So now we're just going to fold our little package right up. Oh, this is going to be so good. Press it. Some people take a sharp knife or a little cutter, and if they want to, you can make your ends perfectly square like that. I don't mind the rough edges. I like the rustic look. And I like that when you leave the edges rough, it looks more homemade, which is the point when you're entertaining your guests. And then we're going to cut 3 slits right down the center. 1, 2, 3. That's going to let the air escape and not make it explode. There's nothing worse than strawberry preserves and Stilton exploding in your stove. Trust me. We want to brush this one with egg wash as well. And I've preheated my oven to 450 degrees. And we're going to bake both of them for 20 to 25 minutes until they're beautifully goldened and puffy, and the house will smell like butter. There's nothing better than that. It's like a French patisserie in your home. Ooh, that is one hot oven. Set the timer, 20 minutes. And I think it's time for a glass of wine while I wait. So I've taken my puff pastry orders out of the oven, and I've let them sit for about 10 or 15 minutes to cool down. So now it's time to cut into them, and these look so beautiful. This is the Sopresseta and Gruyère. You can smell the Sopresseta and the thyme and the mustard. It looks like a dish that you've been baking for hours and really only took 30 minutes. There we are, my Gruyère and Sopresseta puff pastry. I have champagne on ice. I have champagne in hand. I'm ready for a party. I'm Marc Sievers, and this is From My Kitchen to Yours. Cheers.